All right, here we are again, back at it. Another episode of the More to It podcast. I am the host, as usual, Jay Moore, with Hail Varsity Magazine, hailvarsity.com, and I am pleased to be joined by one of my favorite people who I've crossed paths with in my football career, Mr. Stuart Schweigert, Mr. Purdue Boilermaker, Mr. 17 career interceptions at Purdue, broke Rod Woodson's interception record at Purdue, 9 years professionally. Raiders, Lions. We actually crossed paths. We played in the old UFL Omaha Nighthawk League, which was a blast. But Stu, my man, how are you, buddy?
Good, Jay. It's great to talk to you. Through this whole COVID stuff, I haven't had a chance to really talk a whole lot of football. So it's nice to get here and talk a little gridiron, especially with you, a guy that I have a lot of respect for. And when I was out in Omaha, showed me the best hospitality, and it's great to see. It's great. I'm glad I can see you here too.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, we had some fun nights, not only in some bars, but in my parents' basement.
I was going to say, I think in your parents' basement was pretty fun there.
Yeah, it was. We had some good times back there. Normally, if we had football planning on it, and it sounds, it's something different day to day. But as of right now, Pac-12, Big Ten, no fall football. And you are in West Lafayette, Indiana, where Purdue is. Back here in Lincoln, Nebraska, this is detrimental to the city of Lincoln. We're talking upwards of $30 million lost potentially in the city of Lincoln, without 7 home games. Then obviously what comes with playing football for the university and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a huge detriment to the state, not only the city of Lincoln, but let's be honest, Omaha, the state of Nebraska in general.
Yeah, the state of Nebraska.
How is it back there? How is it in West Lafayette? I mean, because I would probably guess Purdue basketball is probably bigger than Purdue football, but how is this taking a toll on from where you are sitting right now?
Yeah, so I will say that Purdue, if you think historically, is kind of more known for football, but then, my era when Tiller came, he really brought Purdue to the forefront. All of the bowl games that he won, I think 10 bowl games, 11 years he was with. And I think we had like 37 NFL players come out during his time, and the recruiting. So really football kind of jumped basketball. And once Tiller left, things kind of went downhill. So so the football program has struggled, and Jeff Brom has come in and really re-energized everything. He's in his 3rd season, and the crowds have doubled, tripled from what they were when, let's say, Darrell Hazel was here. So the excitement has been really good the last 2 years. Have we played up to the expectations? Probably not, but we're very young. This was going to be kind of the year where it was like, okay, but his recruits are in their either junior or redshirt for sophomore year. And they were doing a lot of renovations to our stadium. I mean, there's construction going on there all the time. They built this huge new scoreboard jumbotron thing and really updating the stadium. The thing that I'm worried about, and I don't know how they're going to do this, is obviously they're probably looking at numbers projecting. Well, these items are going to cost this. We're expecting 50,000 fans, 60,000 fans. This brings in this revenue. And now that money is completely gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they go with that. If it goes to does the athletic department get a loan from the academic side of the university? I know right now, and I'm sure you're getting hit up, but as far as alumni goes, they're looking for alumni to come out there and give back, but that's a tough sale, because you're asking them to give back to the program, and then with that, to have them come to games and that part of it, which is cool as a donor. Well, they don't have that option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very. I just to Lincoln. I mean, this is these 7 home games, and obviously you get the basketball too. And I know that it's just imagine because I look at places like Columbus, Ohio. I mean, it's like the biggest city in Ohio. I mean, you have pro sports, you got pro hockey, you got other big cities with pro sports. But same with Michigan State and Michigan. You got the Lions, you got the Pistons, you got the Tigers. Indiana, I mean, you do have obviously some pro sports. So you got the Pacers and you have the Colts, but you guys are,
Well, Jay, I would say that's a good point. Up in Michigan, and you have all the MAC schools up there, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, and then you have the GLIAC schools, Saginaw Valley State, Northwood, Grand Valley State. Indiana, there are a lot of schools. I mean, you have Indiana State, you have University of Indianapolis, you have the Colts, you have the Bears. Bears are very influential here in the state of Indiana. Fort Wayne has a lot. I mean, there are a lot of schools here, so it's not as if Purdue. Purdue's kind of a little bubble. It's going to really affect about a 76-mile radius here. But with me being and living in Nebraska, and I said this all the time. I said, I've been in a state where football was big. Michigan State. That's a huge rivalry. Blah blah blah. This stuff. Like going down to Purdue, Notre Dame. When I went to Nebraska, it's a whole nother level of like the pride that you guys have for the Cornhuskers. When the game's on, like the entire state is watching, and if they lose, it's like the state shuts down. So you're talking just bars and restaurants and all of the stuff that comes for those tailgate parties. I mean, it is affecting your state would be probably one of the ones probably most affected by one university shutting down.
Oh, by far.
Or actually one sport, really one.
Yeah, I mean, by far. I mean, we have UNO, UNK. UNO doesn't have football anymore. They have Division I hockey, and the basketball team is Division I now. And we have some smaller schools, and some schools aren't. Or some of these smaller schools are still participating in their fall sports. But this is going to take a huge toll on on the economy and just the people's mindset, because this isn't. I always explain to people, and you are here. I still haven't gotten you to a game yet, but a fall Saturday in the state of Nebraska, it's a different feel. Whether it's a home game, or you've been around here in these Saturdays. The energy in the air, the people's optimism. I mean, we've been to bars to watch. The places are slam packed. Yep. I mean, it is like no other. I've never been to another place I've been fortunate enough to go to another town or city, other than when Nebraska may be playing there. But to go see, I never, my plan. I still need to get to West Lafayette when Nebraska comes to town to experience. Absolutely. But it's not going to. Trust me,
I had no idea. Like I said, I've heard, football is God out there. I'm like, yeah, I've been, I'm sure, but it is complete. And I think the thing that you talked about is people's mind state. I think Nebraskans. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, Nebraskans. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You got to think, man, they're with all the stressors of life and the way things are going and the way the economy is and politics and stuff like that. That 3 or 4 hours or 5 hours of Nebraska football is a time for them to forget about all that. So to kind of reset and refocus and get those endorphins up with the excitement, and you don't have that, man. And that's going to be tough for people to where does that pent up energy and stress? How do you release it?
Yeah.
It's going to affect people in a way that I don't think we realize until they're going to go through it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is, if potentially you're on the ACC, Big 12, and SEC still playing too, and we're not, that's going to be the really interesting thing. When come about 5 weeks and when they're 6 weeks and they're potentially you're going to start.
Terrible.
Right.
It would be terrible.
Right. How is, since Nebraska's been in the Big 10 now for 10 years. How is Nebraska viewed?
Are you serious?
Yeah, 10 years? It's been 10 years. Yeah, already.
Getting old.
Yeah, correct. How is because you did some radio back there.
Yes.
In West Lafayette. How is Nebraska kind of viewed as a program outside of Lincoln, Nebraska?
There was a lot of. There were some parallels between Brom and Frost. With where they're at in their program and the athletes that they're having. For me, I wanted to just say that the program, again, I think felt a lot like Purdue, where there was all this energy and there was all this excitement, and you're finally getting the recruits that you want, and you're getting the marquee players, but then it's just not translating into wins yet. Yeah. And it takes time. I mean, it takes time for someone's program or someone's not program, somebody's what's the word? Culture, for a coach's culture to get to where he wants. And I think people just see those big name schools and expect them to win right away. So I think Scott is the guy that you want. It's just taking a little bit, but you have a couple injuries here and there. You have a couple balls bounced the wrong way, and people start to get nervous. So as far as the view of your program it's a strong program. It's just going to take a little time. I mean, just give it time.
It's always
here's the thing I think that affects Brom and Frost is the success that our buddy in Minnesota's having. Fleck. So now what he did is last year, all of a sudden that puts Frost and Brom on the hot seat because they're going, well, he came in the same time with a program like this, and he's in Minnesota. I mean, you got to think it's hard to recruit in Minnesota, and he's getting those guys in there.
Right. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Well, they're not going to be. I mean, they're not going to be playing football this year, which I think they're going to take a little step back. I mean, lose some players, but yeah, it's always interesting to see because with just a week ago with the cancellation of fall football and fall sports, the Big Ten and Commissioner Warren coming out, and then you had Frost speak his mind, but then you had a lot of very respected people in the media were the Desmond Howards, the Michael Wilbons. I don't know if you heard all this stuff. I mean,
no, this is good. I don't know. I don't know any of this.
Yeah. So you had Desmond Howard come out and say, because Scott Frost did a press conference saying, we want to play. This is why we want to play. Our kids are safer on campus. There's a, $100 million economic for a university, not only for the university, but for the state of Nebraska. And, you don't play football, that affects every other sport at Nebraska because football funds everything.
It funds it.
So he comes out and Nebraska's like, if football is canceled, we're going to look for other avenues to keep on playing. Well, then Desmond Howard comes out and says Nebraska should be kicked out of the Big Ten and owes the Big Ten an apology.
Oh, wow.
And then you have Michael Wilbon, Northwestern guy, ESPN, pardon my take, come out and say, they're ridiculous, and talking about how Northwestern will feel the heat just as much, where it's like bullshit. Like, the way fans go to fill more seats at Northwestern games than your Northwestern fans.
Oh yeah,
it's not even right.
Absolutely.
And then you have Booger McFarland just come out and say, Nebraska was never even thought about until they joined the Big Ten, and we're just like, what are you talking? Like, it's really, but Nebraska's been the punching bag for the last week and a half and it's just interesting just to get someone else's perspective that lives in a big town, and sees it from a different angle.
I will say this. I will say I've always been a fan of Nebraska. Everybody I've ever met from Nebraska has been great. I grew up watching Eric Crouch as an option quarterback. I even thought about going to Nebraska. I mean, when you're looking at Nebraska, and I'm a kid who grew up in the option offense, I'm going, as a Caucasian kid, I'm going, holy smokes, I can go to a university, be on TV and score touchdowns and do this type of stuff. And my dad was a huge weight guy. So obviously Nebraska made the college weight program back in the 70s. The first school to start doing that stuff. So I've always loved Nebraska. And when they joined the Big Ten, I couldn't have been more excited because it brought legitimacy to our conference. I mean, you want the best. You want the best. And Nebraska is a team that has the history, the tradition, even still yet today. I mean, the prowess, they sell out the stadiums. That's the type of teams you want in your conference. And bringing in guys like Scott Frost are the type of coaches that you want in our conference. So for guys, I like Desmond Howard, and Wilbon, but a lot of times those guys, it's a hot take. Always that hot. They want to create that shock factor. And do they really believe it? Not necessarily, but you know what? Put those guys in Scott Frost's position and let them coach that team for a week, and they'll realize it's not as easy as just showing up on Saturday morning with all the makeup on, and they get to hold up these stupid signs and the fans cheer, but nobody holds them accountable for their predictions or what they're saying. They go on the next week and say whatever they want, and just that surprises me that they would do that, because having you guys in the Big Ten is what we want. I mean, especially in the West, being where Purdue is, as much crap as the West gets, again, it brings credibility not only to the Big Ten, but to the conference that Purdue, or the side that Purdue plays in. So I don't believe in any of that. I mean, I think the fact that they stepped up and said, we want to play, I think that's good for the athletes. Because as an athlete, can you imagine? Our time is such limited. I mean, we have such a short shelf life. 1 year out of football could be devastating.
Yep.
And for a coach to sit up there and say, oh, I don't want to play, I'd say, who are you talking for? As a football player, you get, 12 opportunities? I mean, we don't have a lot. We don't have 180 games like these other sports do, 90 games. And then our games are we put so much time and effort into 11 games. Like, we want to play. I mean, that's what we do, is we want to play. So to have that gone, I would be upset if my coach didn't stand up there and say, let's go.
Yeah. Is there a certain smugness in the Big Ten Do you feel like they hold themselves? Because some people back here, like, I wish you would never join, because all these comments come out, and that's
I would probably say the same. Yeah,
the Will Vaughn comment and the Desmond Howard comments make it sound like, oh, it was a very smug comment, like, we're the Big Ten, we hold ourselves to a higher standard, blah blah blah, and I'm wondering, I mean, if you felt, I mean, you've been a part of, you played in the conference, I was a part of the Big 12.
Yeah. Well, didn't hold on, didn't Harbaugh and Franklin say the same thing?
Yeah, and Day. Everyone, yes.
So,
yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know why they would single out. And you know what? Sometimes it's some of these guys. They just have they get. There's a phrase I want to use, but I don't want to use it. But they get excited about a certain team, and they just, that's like their flavor of the week. And for whatever reason, it was just the timing of maybe what Scott Frost said, and maybe there's animosity because Desmond Howard didn't like Scott Frost. I mean, you just never know what these guys' intentions are when they say this stuff. So I would take it as, I don't think that there's now when you say kind of like, we think Nebraska is hoity-toity, or what do you mean?
No, I'm asking you if there's like an arrogance to the Big Ten Conference.
Okay. I would think, for me, that's why when I was in high school, I said I wasn't going to go to any other conference, because the Big Ten to me was like the blue collar, like traditional football, two running backs, two tight ends, like the way that football is supposed to be played, where it wasn't flashy, it wasn't, the lights and glimmer. It was straight traditional football. That's why I felt Nebraska fit really well into it, because that's what your guy's style of football is. You're not trying to trick anybody. We're going to line up, we're going to come right at you, and we're going to keep coming at you all day long, and we're going to wear you out, and we're going to run right over you and win football games. And that's my impression of the Big Ten. That's why I came to the Big Ten. So I would hope that there's not that going on. That makes me upset that the two guys who made those comments, when you said Will Vaughn and
Desmond Howard,
they're Big Ten guys. Mm-hmm. They're Big Ten guys. And Will Vaughn, Northwestern, he had no leg to stand on. I mean, they had a couple good runs, but if it wasn't for their coach over there, Fitzgerald,
yeah,
right?
You got it, yep.
They would be nothing. They would be absolutely nothing. And even with him there, they don't get a whole lot of respect. But yeah, that's I wouldn't think about that. I don't have that vision of Nebraska. Again, I was so excited when they joined the Big Ten, and to have you guys in there, I think is great. And it just, again, Purdue going out and playing Nebraska, that helps us with recruiting. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, son, you get to go into Lincoln, Nebraska, and have an opportunity to beat the Cornhuskers. Like that, heck yeah, that excites me more than going to, and I know they're my rival, but going to Bloomington and playing Indiana, or going to Champaign and playing Illinois.
Right.
That's whatever. Going to Nebraska, now we can talk. I want to see what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Isn't it kind of baffling? So now we're in this, the Big Ten, no fall sports, but so Purdue can't play football, Indiana can't play football, but Notre Dame can. All in the state of Indiana.
Now, yeah, you talk about Notre Dame. That's a whole other story now. Because
right.
Most people would probably be surprised that they're actually in South Bend is in Indiana.
Right.
That's like,
well, damn near Chicago.
It's up there, and for them to be able now, but I don't. Do you think these other conferences are really going to play? I mean,
I am about 60-40. So 60 yes, okay. 40 no. Because I mean, what has really frustrated me with this whole process is the Big Ten just really rushed to a judgment. I mean, they have some time is on their hands.
Yeah.
Now I'm reading. I'm on Twitter way too much, just because it's like the newspaper for me.
Yeah.
And you get the information, but now we're getting tests now that you can test in the morning through saliva and have the results back in a couple hours. So you can test someone like literally before they play. And if they're, and yes, that's hard, because you get a guy ready to play all week and maybe you don't get his backup as much reps, but all of a sudden he gets it like the day of the game and he can't play, but it is what it is. I think some football's better than no football, in my opinion. And then you have schools like North Carolina saying, hey, we're going all to remote learning now. Notre Dame's kind of pausing things for a couple weeks, So my thing is, I get it. Like, let's be honest. I mean, what we're talking about, which is still surprising to me with why the Big Ten has shut it down so early, is these schools wanted to get their room and board checks in, get these kids on campus, get them.
Yeah.
So let's get them on there. Let's get those checks, and we have to send them back. We can. Let's get our money. But that's what's baffling to me is why. I mean, we know these Big Ten schools are getting $52 million from the TV revenue. Why are you not playing? And I don't know this answer. I don't know.
Go
How
ahead.
do you get this money? Like, you're not, if you don't play, like, I don't think you're going to get that money because there's no TV, there's no ad revenue coming in.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, you talk about what they get, but those sponsors and stuff is, I mean, they signed a contract, but if the team's not playing and their commercials not being played, the Big Ten network has got to be writing checks to these companies saying, you know, here's your money. So where would they pull any money to pay for these universities? The other thing is some schools, the only way that they're even playing football is because of the money that they're receiving from the Big Ten network. But here's the thing that I think people forget, and people get so caught up in the money side of things. People get so caught up in coaches saying this, and the thing they forget about is the main bloodline of football is the players.
Right.
These players to miss, I don't think people realize how devastating missing a football season is. And you know this when we were in the NFL towards the end of our careers, you start bouncing around. How hard was it to be out and then to get back in? It was like 1 month. It's like being out like a year. Like it's on your body, on just the way the game changes. So think about this. Think about Trevor Lawrence or some of these young kids we've never heard of, right? What if there wasn't a season Trevor Lawrence had that freshman year? Or the kid right now from LSU that got drafted #1. I didn't know who it was.
Joey Burrow.
And there's a kid right now in the same position as him that's really never played, that this season could have been the year where he becomes the Heisman Trophy winner as a first-round draft pick. Well, now that's gone. That opportunity for him is gone. And or think about a high school kid who has a big senior year, and he doesn't get to play that year to get to a university and have the opportunity to play at that level. So I don't know if these kids really realize it, but I just couldn't imagine preparing and just being able to not being able to play. And the other thing that I don't know how they're doing it. Can you imagine, Jay, having the spring, right, from February till now, where really there's no classes, you're not meeting as a team, you're supposed to work out on your own. There's no way at 20 years old, 19 years old, I would have the not strength, but I would
the discipline.
The discipline. There you go. I would the discipline to get myself up and work and do what I need to do to have the seasons I had. I needed those coaches around me telling me what to do. It would scare the crap out of me, wouldn't you? But showing up.
Yeah. Well, everyone needs structure.
Yeah.
People need structure because you need to be held accountable. Like, hey, meetings are at 8 a.m. You need to be taped by 7:30 a.m. You know, special. You know, you can be on the field by 8:15 or whatever it is. Like, you have there's things you have to be held accountable for, and all of a sudden it's like people don't have that. In even like, you know, in the off season, it can slip away from guys if you don't have the discipline. Like, there's some guys, and there's some guys that can handle it, but majority of kids and even like NFL players, they can't handle it. Like they hired
trainers, they hired guys.
They need people to tell them where to go, where to be. People need that. They just need it. It's just some people do.
Well, that goes along with, you see what happens when guys are used to that their entire lives, and then they're out of playing, and all of a sudden now it's their choice to do what they want to do. It's like, I don't really know what to do because my whole life I've just showed up. They point, eat this, drink this, do this, and you never know how really hard you're working out when you're by yourself. Like, you don't know. Am I going hard enough? Should I put more weight on? Like, or you have that idea too, where I don't really feel like being here. You know what? I'm gonna cut this workout short, and I'll hit it. I'll hit it again hard tomorrow.
Right.
That's just tough. So I think people need to realize that these athletes. Yeah, I understand there's a COVID thing, and for me, if I was a player, I'm taking my chances. I'm gonna go out there because I would rather go out there and and let's say even have a devastating deal where I end up getting it or whatever, rather than not doing it. And then people are playing football, and I'm sitting there for 40, 50 years in the back of my mind going, man, I should have just played, man. I should have just played. Because you know this, and I say this all the time, when you hang up those cleats in football, it's done. There's no football rec league. There's no European league. There's no this type of stuff. Like, football is a sport that once you're done playing it, you're out of it. And it's just a short window that we have to be able to perform at that level. And if you're taking that away from me, I don't even have the choice. You're telling me I can't do it. I would be going crazy.
Yeah, I tell people, I go, there are 10 times a greater risk than catching a virus in a game of football. Like, I'm way more scared of breaking my neck, or being knocked unconscious and having some brain injury trauma,
your back, breaking your knee,
or something, like
your face.
Yeah, like major orthopedic. I mean, I had a teammate of mine who was going to be a first-round draft pick, tight end. He broke his leg so bad he almost lost his leg.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's able to fight back and still play one more year, but like, he was going to be a first-round draft pick. He was going to win the Mackey Award. He's that good of a tight end, and he had one injury, and it wasn't a stupid cold, or virus,
but Jay, you're telling me that I might have, a little bit of congestion and stuff. It's like, man, I don't know. I don't know if you're selling. I'm not convinced. I mean, you got to weigh the pros and cons, and I'm looking at it going, the cons really aren't that bad in playing. Like, let's go. Let's roll with this thing.
Well, that's the thing, is the resources that every university has to keep in front of this. And where I think the university's really screwed up was we go back to like April, maybe more like May and early June. And all of a sudden, your people are like, to have college football, you need to have students on campus. Yeah. So you start hearing campuses are open up. We're going to have complete in-person learning. You're like, awesome, we're going to have football then. But you look back and you look how the NBA is doing things with the bubble. You look at kind of how hockey's doing things. NFL's doing a pretty good job of keeping things under control right now. But they're in a bubble of training camp. Yeah. But you look back, it's like, no, you should have had kids still in remote learning.
Yeah.
You can still get your money that way. Just have the college athletes there. There's your bubble.
Yeah.
They're remote learning, and they're just in their own bubble doing their thing, and you could have really minimized the content.
Would you be able to remote learn? Would you be able to do the online stuff?
Again, I think I would have been able to. Like, I had some online classes, and I loved them. Loved them. Yeah, and but like, see,
for me, I needed to be in the classroom.
I needed the structure,
that environment, that learning environment. Like, I needed to. I had to have that. If I'm trying to learn from like my room or from a library, I would lose concentration. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. Well, I think what the universities, what they could have done in a situation like this is, hey, because how many times do you have a class with another player? So like, hey, get your iPad, get your laptop. You 5 guys are going to go sit in this room in your class. Yeah. So we know you're there. And like, your academic people there to be on top of you, and they could probably be even greater control of you, making sure you're on top of your stuff, saying, because you don't have to go anywhere. Let's be honest, you could hang on the football facilities or at this, or all day and be a class, and like, they have full control over you there. And I know. Well,
why do you think they build those huge, beautiful facilities so they have the players, they know where they're at? I mean, which is good. Like that, I'd be over there every day.
Right. No, it's interesting. I'm finally like I'm finally coming to like terms with it all, and like, oh my God, we're not going to have football. Like, I've been so pissed off.
It hasn't hit me yet. I haven't thought about it.
I still think there's a chance that we might not have any. I do think there is a small chance, but I also, like, even today at August, what is it today? August 19th. We're hearing reports.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's August. I just turned 37 3 days ago, bud.
Oh, happy birthday!
37, the big 37.
All right, dude.
Yeah.
What about this, Jay?
Halfway to retirement.
What about this, Jay? Just thinking about just the college experience. Just having your varsity jacket, walking to class, and getting to sit amongst your student body in a classroom, and on Saturdays they're in the crowd cheering for you and making those relationships and stuff. I still to this day talk to some of the students I had in some of my classes, and some of the best memories I have is me actually hanging out with just regular students and not being with the football team and just being a regular college kid. And I loved that experience. And it was just so much the game days on Saturdays and everything like that. I mean, that goes along with what makes college football great. And I don't know, obviously we're sitting here as older men who have been through it, so we know it. But when you're younger, you don't realize what you're missing because you're not experiencing it. And that's the thing that I think the kids, for me, I look back and go, man, if I didn't have that opportunity, that's what made college football fun, some of that stuff,
not just 100%. And that's why I love college football. People ask me, am I an NFL guy? I'm like, not really. No. I watch it every now and then, but because the energy and the atmosphere and just of the college football is now I'd never got the chance to play at Lambeau Field. People say that's like a college atmosphere. But
I played there twice. It was a cool atmosphere, but I guess it was. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
But a lot of these places you go to, it's kind of like there's no buzz, there's no energy. It feels very corporate. It feels, and it's man, it just. I'll be honest. When we played the Nighthawks our first year at Rosenblatt, remember how fun that was? That place was packed. The buzz and energy. I'm like, holy, this feels like a college atmosphere. And
it was awesome. It was awesome. It was. Dude, remember, I couldn't. I was sitting there, and the game's at 7:00, and we went to the stadium at noon to pick up something, and they're tailgating. I was like, holy crap, these people are ready, man.
Yeah. But I never had a chance to play any playoffs or.
I didn't either. I didn't either.
But I'm like the atmosphere of a college game is way better than any NFL game that granted I was hurt a lot and didn't really get it, but it was kind of dead to me.
You're right. You're right. It was very just matter of fact, in the locker room. It's just like guys come and they're showing up for work. Hey, say hi to your coworker. That guy's over there. He's reading the newspaper. This guy's, he's looking at his business statements with his company that he owns. And it's like you get there, you show up for work. Hey, nice to meet you. Hey, good job, good game, and you go home. It's a job. As far as college football, it's a lifestyle. It's a community. It's the cheerleaders. It's the band. Because again, you're as an athlete, you're in classes with these people, and you see these people. Pro football players, we don't see anybody. You're so secluded from the population. When you go on road trips, right? You're privately shuttled to a plane. You get security checked at the plane. You fly in. You have buses that pick you up right on the tarmac, takes you right to the hotel. Security drives you up to your room. Mm-hmm. There's no interactions. It's like we're not even real people. College football, here's the thing for me that I realized that I'll be driving through campus. I'm like, well, that's Sindelar. He's the quarterback at Purdue. I played 9 years in the NFL, and it's still cool to see. That's him. That's wave and say hi to him. You know what I mean? Right. It's just cool to see that.
Yeah. How was how Rondell Moore decide he wants to hold out? Were you surprised by that? And let's put yourself in that situation. You can't, because I've been on some radio shows and I go, I can't blame a kid like that. I can't.
No.
Because like we said, his window is so small, and the opportunity, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we know he's again a once in a lifetime. He's a talent. He's a first round talent. Yeah. You have to preserve that and capitalize on that if you can.
Actually, you just made me think of a good point of the Big Ten jumping so quick to cancel the season. I think they did that in the mindset of helping these players, because I heard a lot of, hey, are you going to play? Should I play? This guy doesn't want to play. And if you were to go forward and put young kids in that position to say, I don't know if I should, I think they just stepped up and said, we're going to make the decision for you. It's over with. Then you go from there. So, because for if you had the choice and you make that choice and play, it could put you in a position. And as a young kid like that, that's a tough position. And I get it. But I want to play football, man. I don't want to train. I don't want to. I mean, that stuff you have to do it, but it's the games. That's why I did everything. That's why I worked so hard, was to go into a game with 11 guys and get that fumble recovery, get that big fourth down and one stop, to hear the crowd, have your teammates jump on you, because you can't simulate that in any other situation. That is reality TV at its finest. I mean, that is literally, you don't know what's going to happen, and when it does, the feeling you can't replace it.
Yeah.
And to miss out on that, that's why that gets me through those days when you're, what am I doing this for? And then you go, yeah. When I have that interception and the crowd's yelling and you have that adrenaline going, that's why I'm sitting here doing this stuff that I do not want to be doing.
But yeah, I agree, because the times, Wednesday in practice, you're like kind of your last pad of practice of the week, and it's like, oh my God, I want to, it's like
coaches are calling you every word in the book, right. And they're throwing stuff at you, and you're, right. You suck, and it's just like, or what am I doing this for? Then it's right. For that game.
But no, it is. But that gets you. You're like, there's that rush of when you make a big play, and it's whether you're at Purdue, Michigan,
or even coming
wherever.
Even what I liked like walking to the stadium and like laying my clothes out and going out on the field and talking to the fields crew, and pregame you kind of go out and you have the recruits. You have those recruits over there, like the high school recruits, and you're like the big college kid, and you go shake their hands and say hi to them, and like all that stuff too. I enjoyed a lot. That stuff
it's
really
fun. The process. That's what I tell people. They ask me, do I miss football? I go, I don't miss like,
I don't either.
I don't miss the practice, but I do miss the process, getting ready for that one game. And it involves a practice, but I do miss the structure.
Yeah.
I miss that. The Mondays. So like, we didn't have a practice on Mondays.
Yeah.
We had Mondays off because we came in on Sundays after the game in college.
We did too. Yeah, we did too.
So like, you're, you got a day off to yourself, you go to class, but then it's like Tuesday, boom, I'm in early in the morning to get my lift in.
Yeah.
Then go to class, and we got your Wednesday, then boom.
Study table.
Right. It's just the process, like
tutors.
And then it's like Thursday, all the D-line and linebackers, we always went out to eat on Thursday nights after practice. And then Friday, getting dropped off at the stadium because you're either going to an away game, you're going to the hotel, and getting ready, getting massages and watching a little more film and talking with a walkthrough. And then you go have your team dinner, you go to a movie, and then you get
that's how
that process. Like, I get goosebumps talking about it. Like, that's like, I would go back and play college football over again if I could.
It's funny. You say that. Some of the funniest stories I have and memories I have is like us at the team dinner. I remember we went to the Lafayette Country Club on Friday for home games. It was just a great meal. But they had they'd bring out the ice cream, and they have a bowl and have like 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream, right? Well, what we would do is, we'd get one of them and we'd put like big scoops of butter, and it looked like, what I mean? So we'd put salt in the, whatever, or like we'd put like a hot sauce and like the cherry sauce, and Joe Tiller would always go up first. And we'd all be like looking, and he's like this, and he's kind of going through it, and he knows we're kind of looking at him and stuff. But like, that stupid stuff was like some of the best memories I had was you as like your teammates just being friends, and that goes along with college experience. There's so much beyond that game on Saturday that we enjoy. I mean, the game is it's a big part, but it's still a part of a bigger picture that what makes football, I think, the greatest sport in the world.
Yeah, I agree. So Jeff Brom's come out and kind of put his plan together for spring football. I don't know if you've seen it there in town.
I haven't.
He's like, he put it together his own. I think it's like you start playing like end of February. I think it's.
Okay. Sorry, you're saying he put together a plan for like playing football
he put a plan together. I don't know if you've seen
season.
It. Yeah, he'd say this is if it was up to him, this is how the spring football season, to make it work, would look.
Okay. Yeah, what was it?
I believe it's. I'm paraphrasing. I'm probably leaving some stuff out here. It's start end of February, and then 8 games, 6 or 8. I can't remember 6 or 8 games, but like then you're done around May, and then you get like you get a month or something, but then you're like right back getting ready for the fall season again.
Okay.
You know?
So this is just a,
this would be like his recommendation.
Okay.
This is not like this is what's going to happen. This is kind of hey, I've had some time in my hands because we got no flipping football. This is what's. Can
you imagine? You know, Jay, you talk about the players. Can you imagine how nuts the coaches are going? Because they don't know anything besides their wives. Their wives right now have got to be like, you need to get out of the house. You need to leave me alone.
Right.
Coaches are
totally. I mean, because they are so, it's like, it's kind of like Pavlov's dog.
Yeah.
It's like they're salivating right now because they know the season's supposed to be starting, and all of a sudden it's like not there. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but do you think could you imagine playing football in the spring? And to me, I don't think it works. I think there's too much overlapping going on. And I just think if you're really truly concerned about player safety, how do you ask your players to potentially play 20 games in a span of one calendar year? And let's be honest, a span of like 6 months, 7 months.
You just associate football with the fall, right? I mean, it's a fall sport when the leaves are changing, and towards the end of the year, you can see the player's breath, and you might have a snow game. And all I can say is tradition at this point. For us, me and you, I'm saying, I think that's why you went to Nebraska. I think that's why I stayed in the Big Ten and went to Purdue for traditional football. We've got to almost kind of like erase that from our minds at this point. Things are just going to be different. They have to be different. And you just need to, if that's what's going to happen, it's almost just like, well, then let's go. If you sit there and think of it should be this and this and that, regardless if that's what they go with, you just got to kind of move forward. So I don't know if it's just, to me, I guess if they're going to play in the spring, that's just what it is. I haven't even thought of.
Yeah. Here's my overview of it all. I don't think it's going to happen because let's be honest.
I don't think it won't.
Who's to say things are any different virus wise than it is now, than in February, March.
So you're planning all that for what?
Right. Correct. So I think again, it's semantics to where Warren's like, we'll postpone it until the spring. So teams can't go out on their own and do their own thing. Because like if it was canceled, maybe we could do that.
Dangling that carrot in front of them.
Yeah.
Well, we've been a part of something like that where we're going to play and trust us. We'll make sure that the game happens and
we'll get you paid.
That's actually not a crazy idea of keeping a little bit of control, like letting, no, don't go anywhere. Don't do this because we aren't planning this, but I don't think it would happen. I had a point that just came into my head, and obviously as us with football players and brain damage here, I forgot what it was. But again, I just think the biggest thing that's getting missed is the players. And you know what? Maybe I have more. Maybe some guys don't care about that stuff. They don't care about the same thing that me and you cared about with college football, and they could take it or leave it. But I just feel bad for these athletes that are going to miss out on some of those great times where that athlete that this could have been his year. This could have been the guy that comes up and no one knew about, and this was going to be his breakout season, and now he just lost that opportunity, and it probably won't be back.
Yeah. This whole potentially Ohio State, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Penn State, this whole 6-team. Let's just say, I think this is like a long shot. I think this is like, snowball's chance in hell.
Pipe dream.
Yeah. And I would love for it to happen, but let's just say that obviously Purdue's not involved in this. But a 10-game home and home series with these 6 teams.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you didn't answer your question. What's your question?
No, I'm just saying this. Like thoughts on it. Like, what does this?
I'd say this.
The big
for
fan
me,
of black eye?
I would say for me, you know what? It's almost as if you say, listen, we know what the risks are. Here's the risks. If you want to play, you can play. If you don't want to play, you know what? And again, I go back to putting kids in that position to make that decision. But you know what? That's the state of the world that we're in, right? If you want to play, you can play. If you don't want to play, you don't have to play. And you let the player make the decision, right? What's wrong with them having a little bit of own responsibility to make that decision? I know they're young, but still, I want to be the guy that's making that chance. And if you were able to play and it was that the system that you said, let's go for it, man.
Yeah.
You know, let's think about in Omaha when we're out there, right? Remember there was practices. Well, you can come out to practice and you cannot. I know you may not get paid, but you can still go out. Me and you are still out there 45 minutes early doing our work, going, dude, this is who I'm a football player. I'm here to play football. I'm going to play football. I'm a college athlete. I know I'm doing academics, but I'm also here to play football. That's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm going to do until there's a reason why I can't do it. If you're telling me that I'm not sick, but I can still go out and I might get sick, it might be an opportunity or it might be a possibility. I don't like possibilities. I deal in the real world. As far as this, I'm going to go out there right now and I'm going to play football.
Yeah. I think if Kevin Warren truly wanted to come out and say, hey, listen, you know, I care about these programs. I care about cities they are. If they want to go play, they have my blessing to go play. What's the big deal?
That's what I don't like when someone's telling you what you should. I don't think anybody has that authority. Mm-hmm. I know we have leaders. I know there's people that are in positions to make decisions for other people, but I think you have to let them decide. The guys that are in it, and the guys that are in it are those football players. Not even the coaches, right? It's those athletes. They're the ones that say yes or no.
Mm-hmm. Does Purdue football make money?
They were. And that's the thing is we were doing some really big things as far as stadium renovations, as training facilities, bringing in more alumni, bringing in a lot of money, bringing in former alumni that weren't even football players, that because there was excitement, because we were getting the players, we were winning some games. It was coming up. That's why this is just going to kill the momentum. I mean, again, they're have construction over there that's being paid through this season, next season, and probably 10 seasons down the road. So this is going to be huge. But these universities have got to have so much. I mean, there's got to be so much money from the university aspect of it. They'd be able to cover it. But the other thing is that you talked about that I don't think is being looked at either is football creates revenue and keeps other sports alive.
Right.
Not for the money that football makes. Girls soccer may not be there.
Right.
Men's wrestling may not be there. Men's and women's swimming and diving. I mean, I'm not knocking those sports. It's just how do you create revenue? Right. You know, I mean, the football and basketball programs fund those other sports. So if they're not making money, they're the lowest guy on the totem pole. Some of these varsity sports could become club sports. Yeah,
people don't realize that, and it's just there's so much I don't want. I've already my last pod I did with Jason Peter. I mean, I voiced my frustrations to the full, and I gotta bite my tongue.
Well, you know what, Jay, it helps. I tell you, if you see a therapist, which I do for 10 years, sometimes it helps just to talk and let it out, brother.
I might have to do that.
You got to get it out.
You're my therapist. Well, buddy, we've been going here for damn near 50 minutes.
Holy
smokes. You got a full house of kids at home, and I appreciate you taking the time, Brian. And when football's back going, I am coming to West Lafayette, and you're going to take your ass here to Lincoln, Nebraska.
I was thinking we were going to go out to Lincoln this year, I think.
Yeah, because we were supposed to be the first game of the year, September 5th.
Yeah, I mean, I already talked to Chrissy and everything. We were planning it.
Yeah, so, my man, I appreciate it.
You know that, Jay. Anything you need, please. Let the family, the Moore clan who accepted me into their fraternity. I love you guys, and it's always nice to talk with you, man. And I've got to do a better job of staying in touch.
All right, buddy. All right, be good.
All right, love you.